Hey, Forge Man. We're going to start off with a quick prayer today before we get into our podcast. So if you'd bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we just want to ask that you open the hearts and minds of us doing the podcast and the men listening to that. Show your face on us. Allow us to show men your presence in their life and what a change it can make. And again, give us an open heart and open mind. Guide our words and let them be used for the furtherment of your kingdom. In Jesus' sweet name, amen.
Amen. I love that. That's a great kickoff, Mark. Thank you very much. I think we could all use that guidance and strength. Again, brotherhood and everything else. So thank you very much. Very, very apropos. I like it. Again, welcome to Forge Men Week 9. Purpose title this week, Purpose Still Needs Production. Winning at Work, Money, and Performance. So theory today is purpose is powerful, but purpose without production is only potential. So again, this is sticking with the theme, right? Putting on your calendar the intentional things. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't matter. Too many men know what they were created to do, but never build the discipline to actually do it. In this episode of Forge Men, we're talking about work, money, performance, and why excellence is a spiritual responsibility. God has given every man gifts, and it's our responsibility to steward them all. What if your biggest problem isn't motivation? What if it's execution? There are thousands of men who have incredible dreams, but very few who have the habits to make those dreams reality. Today, we're talking about purpose and production. So, gentlemen, first talking point, purpose requires performance. Calling isn't passive. Dreams require discipline, and vision requires work. The men who change the world don't simply hope, they build every single day. Mark, I'm going to kick it over to you. Usually I'll throw it out to the gentleman, but you sent me a picture yesterday. And I'd like, just because I'm going to kick it to you and talk about action, purpose, performance. Please open us up.
Are you talking about the revenue follows activity picture? Or
I am. Yes, I am.
I got this off of something last week and I printed it out and put it on my wall. It says revenue follows activity, not motivation, not inspiration, not positive thinking, activity, right? So you're
Activity.
talking about purpose. We were all born with a purpose. God gave us all talents. God wants us all to succeed. And we just have to, number one, you got to find that purpose. You got to know what you're meant here to do, and it doesn't matter what it is. If you're following His guidance and the talents that you were given, you'll succeed at it. Nick and I were swapping some text earlier in the week, and he made a statement that he knows if he follows the path, money is one of the results of it. I'm going to paraphrase here, Nick. I may get it wrong, but and he said he's not really worried about that. He wants to help a lot of families and kids. He said, of course, I want to do some White Sox and some Blackhawks and plenty of pizza. So he does want a little bit of something for himself. And
Maybe
I'm
some
with
boxing.
and I'm with him on the Blackhawks and the pizza. The White Sox, I can live with or without. I don't wish them any bad, but I'm not a baseball fan. But I, what he said was so important and so apropos to you. Still one of your words I might have to look up later. It knowing your purpose is there and knowing that that's going to bring you financial success too. And a lot of people struggle with financial success. It's not a bad thing. You obtain financial success by helping other people. And if you're using it right, you can't go wrong with $1 trillion if you're using it right, right? That doesn't mean you can't have a nice car, a nice home, whatever, but you still need to be using that right for the betterment of mankind, for God's kingdom. Nick and I also were swapping some texts. We're probably going to do a Zoom one day and talk about Matthew 6 because I think there's so much in there. And I think sometimes we get that wrong, what we're seeking and what we're searching for. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's my, 2.5 cents.
Well, I'm glad we got the extra half a cent in there because you're going towards the actual monetary things that we use now, seeing as how the penny was taken away from the mint. But yes, you answered the question. Again, we're just guys spitballing from experience, based on our experiences, some background research, foundational experiences, and hopeful guidance. Nick, I'm not following that. Please go ahead.
I really like the parts about discipline to build and using your gifts to execute. I love the saying that I came up with in 2003, which is money is going to be a result of what I do. And every time that I've gone out on these challenges, we serve a consistent God. I love Exodus 14:14, but we can be still while God fights for you. But he also reminds us that faith without works is dead. And I learned a long time ago that hard work leads to results. You make your own luck. I chose automotive income development, and now I do income development for businesses. And Mark knows this very well. I can walk into a dealership 2.5 years ago and blow Mark away. And Mark could go, man, I really like that guy. And he'll spend the next 2.5 years trying to figure out how to get me into a store. I know that because I've done it my entire life. So I've gotten to learn that Tom Petty song, waiting is the hardest part. And that's where God builds you and disciplines you. And that's what Tom Petty's talking about, in my opinion. And what's really cool about Tom Petty songs is that everybody can have their own opinion about them. And, I really, really enjoy what I do, because if you're Nick Alderson, you can get yourself caught up in anything if you want to, especially if you're not following God's guidance. And when you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Nick Alderson, for those of you in Albuquerque who are kind enough to watch this, you're probably already laughing because, one day God gave me the opportunity to go, okay, if you were in a situation where it might be your last day on earth, let's call it, and let's say it's the last, if it's not the last day on earth for you, it's the worst day on earth for you. And, if you only got an hour of free time and you don't know what's happening tomorrow or if tomorrow's coming, what would you do? And I went and put on my suit and I cold called the largest car dealer in New Mexico. And I didn't take no for an answer. This guy was sitting there behind a vibrating door, I call it, but he had a thing around his neck that allowed people in. And I literally followed his office manager into the office because I wasn't taking no for an answer that day. And I didn't care. And people warned me about what would happen. But I did it. And the guy, and I said, just like this, look, I have a better solution for you with what you got outside, and we'll make you more money today if you just listen to that. And I explained who I was, and he not only set me up with that appointment, but set me up with a lot of different things throughout my life because I bulldogged my way in. And part of it was the 4 years almost of sitting in his showroom for appointments that he never came out for. I had earned it by doing that, by just sitting out there, sometimes on Saturdays. And that day I got to really answer my question, which was, if I had one thing left to do professionally in this world, what would I do? And that's, I would just go cold call a business owner. Now, there's M&I Homes over there across the street from my house. I think about it all the time and talking to them about a reinsurance position. But that's what I love to do. So when you find something that you're willing to go down for, and I've had that opportunity too, but God's always blessed me very well when it comes to these things. So there will be no reward without risk, and that's for anyone. And that's how I would answer that question.
Cool. No, I appreciate it. And no reward without risk. You're right. If you don't take the risk, you're not going to get the reward. You're not going to do anything if you sit idly by. And with great power comes great responsibility. You have to use what you have to take that calculated risk to have, of course, the greater potential of a good outcome. So great answers from both of you. I think, Nick, you got up a good point. Go ahead, Mark, please.
Yeah, Nick's way to get into that office. I'm going to throw a book plug in here that I know I've recommended to Jason. I'm not sure, but the way Nick got into that office, if you'll read The Third Door by Alex Benaya, Nick just summarized a lot of it right there. And I think that's a great book for everybody to read.
So you did recommend it. I actually downloaded it earlier this week. And I'm going to do a plug here as well. So I've spent a lot of my week on Riverside. So you might notice a difference in production quality in our video here. So we will have an affiliate link here to give you access to Riverside, but we're going on Riverside this week. This is a new format for us. We've been doing a different format. So again, if you notice a difference in production quality, This will speak to the value. And from what I've seen so far, the audio quality and everything that Riverside provides is fantastic. So little plug there on the book plug. So yes, it all ties together. And I've not started the book yet, but the recommendation is there and it's in my audiobooks lab. But I owe and we owe the dedication and investment to our following. So I'll get to the book. I promise that is on the list. But no, the purpose and performance. So Nick, you said something. What I was going to say there is all too often we need a moment of clarity in our life, and whether that be diagnosed a disease or some tragedy happens. I mean, when September 11th happened, how much did this country come together? How much were we brothers and sisters? How much were we forming against the enemy and rising up together? It was no Republican. It was no Democrat. It was no race, religion, creed. We were brothers and sisters of the United States of America, the great country in which we live. But we need that. So Nick, you kind of brought up the song for me, Live Like You Were Dying. So I went skydiving, mountain climbing. So when you have that clarity, when you know you only have that last day or that last hour or something, it's not that bucket list. It's what is important. What do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish? And you go freaking do it. There's no excuses anymore. It's not I'll do it next week, next year. Let's talk about it. And it's being intentional. It's putting it on the calendar. It's making it happen. And again, I've said it before. That's why I love this, because everything builds on each other. It ties so closely together. There's a song that Taylor Swift has about invisible strings, and it's like everything just is tied together. But no, it's all good stuff. It's intentionality. It's living with purpose, and it's finding that purpose. So all great stuff. Next thought: busy doesn't equal productive. Mark introduced something to me a while ago. So as we've said before, Mark and I met in the car business about 7 years ago. We weren't necessarily peers, but he wasn't my manager. It was a different setup in the store, but he and I bonded over common interests, common goals, doing things the right way, actually coaching a team, not beating them down, coaching the right way, building them up. And we both found success in the car business doing that, growing organically, raising our team, bettering them, finding who has talent, and then exploring that talent and help building them up. Busy doesn't equal productive. So when I worked for him, I felt like I was absolutely insane. So he'd sit down with me about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, which is not the end of the day in the car business. It was the end of the day when they did GM sometimes. And he said, well, what'd you accomplish today? Crickets. Well, so he gave me something called a did it today list. And if you haven't used it, do it. Busy doesn't equal productive. Just because you're busy, you're putting out fires, you're doing this, it doesn't mean you accomplish anything. And again, that ties back to the intentionality. The did it today list was an eye opener for me. Mark said something to me occasionally. So the dealership we worked off was right off an interstate called 85. So as a subordinate, when your boss says, call me when you leave, when you hit 85, what happens? It's not, he's giving me praise, right? It's what I do. And it was always conversation. It was always conversation. Let's talk. What's going on? How was the day? We didn't get to catch up. We were both busy. But what was accomplished? A lot of times, not much was accomplished. There was intentionality, but the drift happened. So it didn't happen. It wasn't purposeful. It wasn't targeted. It wasn't directed. It wasn't purposeful. So did it today list was amazing for me. If you haven't used it, check it out. That's my 2 cents. Nick, I'd love to go to you next on this.
That's what I needed to leave. There's a saying that I really, really like, and show me who your friends are and I'll tell you your future. And I hung around a bunch of people who talked about what they were going to do. It drove me right into a psych ward again. And I say that because it happened when I was 16 and it happened when I was 30. And that's when I can't. Now where I'm at in my life, if I'm not having a productive conversation with you, I'm just not going to have it. And it's driving my girlfriend insane. I really am craving, especially now, because God's really taken over my life. And he's given me the opportunity to steward a company. He's given me an opportunity to be on this podcast. And the moment that I started listening to my fiance now, when she told me one day, she said, Nick, you're the hardest worker I know, but I don't know how effective you are. You could probably be doing these things, because I used to market car dealers by hawking them, and sometimes I still do. But that's where they have a big dealer group, and maybe they have 20 stores, and I'll go to all 20 stores and go make it a point to go see the GM that day. And then everybody gets talking about me. You do the same thing from LinkedIn if you do. And, what I really starting to notice was, people that didn't have any idea what my job was, but managed a lot of people like me, like my dear fiance does at an ingredient company, uh, or at least the personalities of agents on the ground like me. Uh, they have a pretty good intuitive sense of what you're supposed to be doing. And the point being is that I wasn't taking any advice from anybody other than me. But in order to start taking advice, I needed to put myself around more productive people that were where I wanted to be, or were pursuing where I wanted to be. I I looked at pursuing many different businesses because I knew that I couldn't be working for anybody anymore. And once I had tasted freedom from having a boss anybody other than me, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And that, again, doesn't come without taking a lot of risk. But at the same time, because I didn't have all of the resources that I had before, I was able to use my brain and figure out how to be more effective at marketing and building my company and learning about my company while I'm sitting in my office. And the learning can't end either. Sometimes I look at people and I look at their relationships, and then over time, especially into their 50s and 60s, you start to realize that these people focus more on the breakup of the relationship than they ever did the actual relationship itself. So
Yep.
when I put myself around people, it's not going to be people who just continuously tell me that they're busy all the time. It's going to be people that are telling me that they're pursuing something, and we can talk about pursuing something together. And that I find is a lot more fulfilling in life.
100%. And I live my life through memes, movie quotes, things like that. I could have full conversations that way. So you said, to not go to work for somebody else other than yourself. So to quote Rick Ross, and I get lyrics messed up a little bit. I work for myself, so I guess I work for a boss. So when you look in the mirror, you're the boss. You did it. You're building it. You got your foot in the door. You work for yourself, so you're working for a boss. But I hear you. To have your schedule, you create it, taking that risk to go out in there. You couldn't buy the Blackhawks tickets for your friends because you started the company. But when you find the success, you do that, and it's that taking that risk. So all great. Mark, please go ahead.
Yeah, along the wanting to work for only yourself, Mark Cuban said one time, I heard him in an interview say he decided to be an entrepreneur when he realized he was a terrible employee. You're right. He, like Nick, didn't want to work for anybody but himself. That's the only person he could get along with. So, our activity's a big thing, and as I think as men, especially, we can fall into that drift. We're checklist guys, right? We like to accomplish things. We like to say we accomplish things, and sometimes we do tasks that bring no closure, no productivity to anything, just so we can say we did it. I've seen it in car dealerships thousands of times where people would just get involved in something they didn't need to be involved in, but it all it did was consume time and didn't really help them with the task at hand, right? So you have to start with the end in mind. If you're going to bake a cake, you got to start with what kind of cake you want. You want chocolate, you want strawberry. I don't know that much about cakes. I'm diabetic, so I don't get to partake in them. So, but you don't just start throwing stuff together and one surprise cake. You're going to be terrible in the kitchen if you're doing that. So you have to start with the end in mind, and your activity has to be geared toward that. Whether it's losing weight, getting a better job, starting your own company, mowing the yard, you have to start with the end in mind, and you're going to mow the front versus the side, the back, however you're going to do it. It's all got to be done, but it works a whole lot better if you just go a stripe across the middle of the back and a stripe across the front. It's going to take you a long time to mow the darn yard.
That's a wonderful point, and that's something that I know that I put in my videos this week. Was that how do you eat that elephant? It's one bite at a time. It's creating that task list, whether it be 3 bullet points, 5 bullet points, 10. What I was looking down for, and I don't have one until it's in the back of the cabinet, and I'm not going to go off screen. Get that green pen out. Check it off. Again, green, motivation. Create that task list. Eat that elephant one bite at a time. Great book as well. But if you're looking at the elephant, if you're looking at the overwhelming task and you don't break it down, if you look at the entire yard, whether it be half acre, acre, whatever it could be a lot of yard. But again, you start doing, all of a sudden you're 50% done, and then you're 100% done. So great point. And a question to kind of think about: what actually moved my mission forward today? What aligns with your personal mantra, your personal mission statement or vision statement? What moved my vision forward today? Is it the busy crap that occupied your day? Or is it being intentional? Is it following the receptionist or office assistant or whoever it was into that office to get that appointment? Is it sitting over there? So all great points. Thanks, guys. And this is kind of something Mark touched on a little bit earlier. So stewardship is more than money. So, Mark, you said you can be a trillionaire as long as you do the right things with it. So you can have money and do bad things with it, or you can have money and do good things with it. So God doesn't simply ask what you've earned. He asks what you did with it. He entrusted you with it. Were you a good steward of it? And did you use it for the right purposes? Gentlemen, who'd like to start?
I'm happy to start. I believe I have, especially recently. I have plans and aspirations for my life. I always enjoyed it when guys would come up to important people and say, I don't want a boat and I don't want multiple houses. So I guess I'll be that guy. I've never been interested in having multiple houses. A lot of cars, yeah, I'm guilty. But, I'm a really simple guy at heart. I really enjoy gardens and my alone time and boxing without a trainer, except Joe Pisano, who's learned how to talk to me. But go Jab Fitness. But I take a look at at my life and how it's going and where it's going and what I want to pour into. And my goal my entire life was to be Batman. And I really feel like with the portfolio that God has given me, I don't know how many people want to be in my exact situation right now, but I know that everybody that does what I do right now would kill to be me. And I'm sitting here and looking at a wonderful future and knowing that I'm very close to a lot of people that grew up in a group home, orphanage, whatever you want to call it, Maryville Academy here in the north side of Chicago, and not just for a little while, for 18 years or so. And that made me very passionate about kids and the ones that aren't wanted and the ones that are from tough situations. I got to learn from a lot of prison ministry research that there's some pretty tough, sick people out there. And I want to really build or at least be a part of building a safe place for those kids. And, these are my goals in life, to aspire to be able to talk to executives about giving people a second chance. I'm talking about prisoners, and do that kind of stuff for the work of God, because God gave me a platform that I realized at 4 years old that nobody really gets, very few, if they do. I mean, I don't want to compare it to being the Los Angeles Dodgers, but that was kind of what I was born into. I was born into a super team full of talent, and I got to see it every day. And for whatever reason, I'm sure it's God-given, I really appreciated that. So I knew that I was going to do something special with it one day. And that's what I want to do. I want to pour into my community and pour into the ones that aren't being helped. And in the meantime, I'm going to be at some White Sox games. Not a lot of Bears games. It's too cold. But, we have aspirations of being big Blackhawk fans around here and doing a lot of pizza. So I really, that's what I want to pour into. And that's what I look forward to doing, my man. So
Pouring yourself in, being intentional. I love it. And again, just the recurring themes are awesome. And I think the Bears Stadium is right on the water there too, right? So add the Windy City right off the water. What's that?
It's moving to the Indiana, and then Nick.
Oh, Christina and I are already looking at Hammond Lake property for that. We are all about it, man. I don't know what the hell this family is doing. Mark, you got to understand it more than anybody. If a nice man from Indiana said, I'm not going to tax you, here's a few $1 billion, let's make your family generational. Later, bye.
And the Bear Stadium's an old one anyway. The wind
Yeah,
off the lake's rough there. It's even hard tailgating. But everybody should go to a Blackhawks game one time. I
yeah.
mean, it'll rope you in.
It is.
Whose
It's
car are we
such a
taking?
cool experience.
Very nice. And I think Nick kicked us off. So, Mark, I don't think you contributed. Did you want to add anything on the stewardship is more than money?
You know, it's our stewardship's more than just money, though. I mean, yes, we do have to take care of that and to use it. I mean, it's got a lot of great ideas. Our platform here with Forged Men, we want to help a lot of men. I think that melds well with a lot of things that Nick's working on. We want to help every man live a better life. And that's stewardship with a calling that God give you. It's stewardship with your talents, with your time. You know, I love it when I talk to people and they tell me I don't have enough time for a second job or a second income or to start a podcast or a YouTube channel or do something, or I don't have time to volunteer at the nursing home or at the orphanage. You know, if you just sit down with a calculator and do the time deal, 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, pick out your eating, your sleeping, whatever else, your work, you'll find you got time for another full-time job usually. And I mean, there's people out there with 2 or 3 families. If you can handle more than one family, you got the juggling thing down. So you should darn sure be able to handle a little bit more stewardship with the gifts that God's given you. So I think Nick said about everything you could say on it, but stewardship is a lot more than just money. And money's just is not always the objective and shouldn't be the objective. It's like, it's who you're becoming. And when you're doing the right things, the money just falls. It just happens.
Generally, and this, I know it's very, very true in the car business, or at least I've seen it. If you chase the money, you're not going to be happy with the end goal. Yes, you might have some financial success, but if you chase the process, the behaviors, the coaching, the investment, the leadership, the growth, the money will come. I don't know that anybody has actually that I've seen that's actually focused on that, growing, training, coaching, growing teams, that hasn't become successful. It may take a little bit longer to grow that path, but it's going to be a lot more fulfilling and a lot more sustainable as well. I think that's kind of what we talked on before. But no, the stewardship is more than money. Mark, you hit it. You took 2 of my bullet points. You mentioned talents and time. What are you doing with your time? Are you being intentional? And you've run through that, week calculated 24 times 7 less your work. And I'll throw this out there. Somebody commented on something about a 50-hour work week. Please comment, engage with us, because I responded and didn't hear anything back. So if you have a question or any input or objection or love or disagreement, please comment. We're here for discussion. It'll be healthy discussion. We're not going to argue the point. We'll discuss it with you. So please comment on that, because you might have a 50-hour work week. You might have a 40-hour work week. You might have 20 and you can only find part-time work. You might work 2 jobs and have 80 hours. So again, please comment, but it's all theoretical. It's all in line with that, but we don't know your actual work week. So just wanted to mention that because somebody did comment a few weeks ago on that, and we responded and hadn't anything back. Again, we would love the conversation, what we're here for. And I'm going to kind of come back to, we've had our plugs. So Mark plugged the book, The Third Door. I plugged Riverside. Nick, I completely forgot your plug. The Jab Fitness. So we'll have our plugs. So I'm going to take my opportunity to also say, like and subscribe. Again, we're remiss on that. We are focused on growing organically. Yes, this is a channel. We do have a 90-day cohort that we charge for. We do have a book that you can get for free or we charge for. By the way, I've added the link to the free book in our YouTube profile. So if you want that, please click the link. All we do is give us our email. We send you on an email list, and you can unsubscribe if you want to. But if you want the book, it's the Forged Men book, Stop Drifting. Please do that. So please like and subscribe. Our main focus, to Nick's point, is growing organically. Our primary purpose is to help men. Give ideas out there. I'll repeat, we are not psychologists. We are not therapists. We don't have fancy letters behind our name. We don't have PhDs. But we are men from 3 different walks of life who have experience, who have learned from many of our mistakes, I'll say most, and are coming here to provide a forum for men because it's not out there. Again, women need it as well. Men need it as well. I think there's more support out there for women. So we're here to provide that sounding board for men. So we are focused on doing it organically the right way. But please do subscribe and like for the content because we are trying to grow it. So that's my plug since we all did that, and that'll be for the channel. So Next, excellence honors God. So kind of thoughts on that is average has become acceptable. And it really has. Average has become acceptable. It's okay. As long as I'm average, I'm good. Excellence has become rare. Forged men don't pursue perfection. They pursue excellence because excellence reflects integrity. It reflects looking in the mirror and knowing that you've done the best that you can. Again, perfection is really unobtainable, but to be the best man that you can be for yourself first and then your family and everything else. Again, the oxygen mask theory, put your mask on yourself first, but to know that you can pursue excellence and be the best you that you can be and take one step towards that every day. Again, make your 10 bullet points, get that green check mark out, get towards it. So whether you're running a company, leading a family, or serving customers, your work becomes worship. So when you put yourself into it, and I'll kind of do this in excellence, honoring God. Gentlemen, you have a little bit more of the spiritual background than I am. I'm a very spiritual person, leaning towards a religious piece. So I'll let you guys talk about the God part, but I'm going to go into customer service. One of the things that I don't like saying, but is so true, COVID ruined this world. I don't know that we'll ever recover from COVID and the excuses that are from it. And whether it be the fact that we lost human connection, we were forced to electronic devices as means of communication because we couldn't meet in person, or 6 feet distancing, or masking, or not going to get down the political road, but the human interaction was gone. It was hard to date. Where do you find somebody? Do you go to a bar? So you go get a drink so you can find a woman? Where do you find it? But customer service is gone. Customer service is an art that when somebody actually says, hey, how was their meal? That isn't a server that wants my tip. If another server or a manager comes by and asks me how my meal was, it's shocking, and it shouldn't be. There should be some level of service out there, but excellence is honoring God, not from that, but you're serving your purpose. You're being the best person you can. You're not so self-centered. You're putting yourself out there for somebody else, whether it be because you're punching a clock, you're starting a business, or because you just give a damn. To care about somebody else is that excellence. So I'm going to equate it to customer service. I genuinely care about what I do. And that's why I said, please like and comment. I will gladly engage in any conversation with you. And I'd love to hear any pros or cons. So again, please do comment. That's my thought on excellence honors God. General, I'll let you open up more of the theological side of it. So again, I'll turn it over to whoever would like to kick us off there.
Go ahead,
I
Nick.
have yet to hear from a car dealer or any sort of business owner that is looking at me that you don't care enough. I'm very, very proud of that. I think that authenticity has been lost in business. I think that it's okay to care enough about your business to look at your little kid and say, Dad's got to go instead of going to your play tonight, in order to provide this play, Dad's got to go to work and handle this tonight. You need to provide answers, by the way, fathers. It's so simple. When you give your kid an answer, it's a lot better than just leaving them and go figure it out on your own. Ask any college football coach alive. I don't care if they're getting paid right now. So, I realized a long time ago with my customers, Mark is a father, Jason as a dad. They have families and they've made mistakes. They've gone outside to repair the deck and it didn't work out. And the kids all have a story. It doesn't matter if they have 25 car dealerships, 5 private planes. They screwed up this morning and they screwed up parenting and COVID. And you know what? Some of the time, people who trust you with a lot of money want to trust you with other things. Like, dude, I had it this week. I was driving my Porsche 911 and you got to have a lot of non-problems to be driving your Porsche 911, but I'm driving it down I-25 and the tire goes out with my whole family in there. And, I'm just kind of wigging out. And they want to be able to talk to that type of person without you going out and telling the entire world what the dealer down the street's problem is. And that's the authenticity that gets out. I don't know how appropriate it is for this situation, but it served me really well in high school when it came to dating. And it was when I was 14 years old and I was a freshman, the first freshman to get a cool date with a really hot chick, because all the hot girls, when you're freshmen, all get swallowed up by the seniors. So I'm sitting there and my buddy has done it, but he went and told the entire world that he was with this girl. And you know what? Some of the time when you're just able to keep things private between two people, that gets out. That becomes street knowledge. And if you can do that on a nationwide level and know that people can confide in you when their companies that were trusted with income development aren't doing that for them anymore, it's going to be a lot easier for them to approach you. So building, I see a lot of guys quoting Goodfella movies and saying loose lips sink ships. I had a dad that was smart enough to pull me aside when I was 6 years old on Halloween, and he said, son, the more secrets you keep for people, the more money you'll make. And that's very, very true. So when I say to people that something's private between you and I, it's private between you and I. And right now, I have some people in my life that didn't keep things private, and they're being punished for not keeping them private. And what I got to learn from a very young age is that what goes around comes around. So I wanted to build my life around those that were like Mark and Alan Wolf, who does my Bible study, and Joe, who's my boxing teacher, and Jason, who's gone up my stud status here, or my stud status chart here that I keep in my office with my acquaintances. I really put myself around people that I aspire to be like. I would recommend that you do that too, but don't be afraid of wearing I like to wear cats or looking at UFO shirts and cats wearing gangster outfit shirts. Okay, because I like to make people think. And look, that's just a part of me. And there's no reason to hide that from people. Okay, if you're in Las Vegas for a conference, you don't need to dress work appropriate the entire time. Everybody's making mistakes outside of the conference. So, allow your personality to come out and allow yourself to be you. As much as I love the white shirt and tie rule that my parents' companies instilled, why did you hire that person if you're going to give them a uniform? That always kind of made me think. Now, I understand that Dallas Mavericks need to wear a uniform and everything, but I'm not going to go tell my best player not to wear a headband. So that's kind of the drift that I'm getting at. Didn't want to use that word in a bad way, but
Stay careful.
Customer service is right there with authenticity. I can't tell you how much it makes me feel awesome when I hear people go, that guy's authentic.
I want to pick up on that. And here's where, again, I feel like I kind of acted as a moderator. That was never our intent. It just kind of has developed into that. But, I do find those things. And there's a couple things that I love to just reinforce. The authenticity, again, the living when living yourself in public, the public version of yourself matching the private version of yourself when nobody's watching. That's authentic. The being able to keep secrets. I do have loose lips. I pride myself on when it's spoken, and sometimes when it should be unspoken, I should know it and I don't. But when it says this is between us, it doesn't leave. Now, if you don't say that, it's fair game. So maybe it should be said more. But no, to know that you're that vault and somebody can confide in you, because we need that. That's that brotherhood. That's not that friend. That's that whose car we're going to take, brother. It really is. And it's the no questions asked, I got you. And having that, but the authenticity is all fantastic stuff. So no, I love it. So winning is built through daily habits. And again, it's the intentionality. It's putting on your calendar, what you want, the things that are important to you. It's taking those steps every day. So it's being intentional. It's taking those intentional, directed, targeted steps towards your goal. If you're 500 pounds and you want to be 200, you're not going to go 500, 200 overnight, right? It's making an appointment. So I was told last night, and I hadn't heard this, it's from a book. So it's all about being intentional and taking those steps. So if you're not motivated to wake up and get to the gym, build towards it. So that should be your first step. Let's even bullet down. Let's go to the sub points, right? Go to bed with your gym shorts on and a bottle of water by the front door. And maybe you don't go to the gym for 2 or 3 days. But when you go to bed, put your gym shorts on and a bottle by the front door. You took your first steps. So you know what? On day 4, well, dude, for 3 days, I put my shorts on and I put my bottle of water there. Let me actually go to the gym. So if you find struggles, find a workaround. That was an eye opener to me. I think it was a quote from a book. I forgot. but it was referenced last night. And it's really smart because, again, we say we're going to go work out. We set the alarm clock, but the drift happens. We hit snooze, whatever the case is. Start somewhere. You can control very easily whether you put your athletic shorts or gym shorts on and put a bottle of water by the door in the morning, right? That's a little bit less intentional than going to the gym, but it's those baby steps. It's that entry level. It's being intentional and building those steps. So I just said nobody accidentally becomes successful. Nobody accidentally becomes financially stable, influential, and daily habits become lifelong results. So when it's a habit, if you saw my individual video, when I was a kid, I woke up as a pirate. Arr, what do you want? And my dad tried many, many things to get me in a better mood, and it didn't work. I was full of PP and apple cider. So it's piss and vinegar in case you couldn't figure it out. So he said, cool, here's a quarter on the counter. And again, the takeaway might not have been the best, but again, parenting has changed and life has changed a lot. But if I was still in a bad mood, the quarter stayed on the counter. But if I was in a good mood, the quarter came to me. So that daily habit made me wake up in a better mood. It was a quarter, right? Which kind of matters to a kid. It's actual money. But after several weeks, the quarter stopped. And it was about a week into it where he said, you didn't take the quarter. And I realized, but the behavior was created. So the daily habits become lifelong results. The man you may become tomorrow is determined by what you repeatedly do today. Mark, what are your thoughts on that, sir?
I think you said it with the habits. I mean, once you instill that habit, and I've read books that said it takes 21 days, 29 days, 37 days, whatever it takes to create that habit. But what those habits do in chasing that excellence is it makes you crave it. It makes you want it, right? It makes you want that feeling, the feeling that people say they get when they go to the gym and the endorphins that it creates or just accomplishing something. Getting past that gatekeeper and sneaking in that door had to make you feel like you were King Kong, Nick, right? I've accomplished anything. And it really, it got you an audience, right? It just got you an appointment. But it was taking that action, that step, to check that off the list to make sure I did whatever it took to get that done. You crave that. And then you feel like there's nothing can stop me from here. So you got to create those habits. There's tons of books on habits and highly effective people, all that jazz. But you have to create your own, and you have to want it, and you have to do it enough to where you know the outcome is going to make you desire that. It becomes almost a drug, that you just have to have. So that's all. Jason, you had a lot of good points there that I can't expand on, but I think that's.
You're contracting because you're following your habits. And again, congratulations to you on sticking with the health and all that. So no, all fantastic stuff. Nick, what are your thoughts, sir?
The best thing I ever did in my life was write down everything or to motivate me to be better. I was write down everything that anybody ever said negative about me and put it all over my house, including in front of the refrigerator, in front of the door before I walked out, and I lived with it for about 90 days. And I started to realize that using my anger, my depression, and everything to explain to other people that my life sucked needed to be channeled into a different energy. And once I was able to channel the hatred going on in my life into, okay, well then go out and do it, then it got me even more motivated. And what I mean by that is that it at some point you got to stop talking about it. You got to start, and you got to go do it. And you got to figure out what motivates you. If it's the water at the end of the stairs and it's your gym shorts being on in the morning, then that's really motivating. For me, it's having a boxing coach who goes, you haven't been here. And I know how you are when you're not here. So get here. And that's what we pay them for. And, look, to my buddy Kenny Pinedo out there in Orange County, who heads up DEA boxing in Lake Forest, California, he used to tell me all the time, do not tell me that you don't have 45 minutes for your body. Just don't. Like, it's not true. And that's the fact. And look, as cheesy as it sounds, there was one time in Denver, Colorado, and this is great. My mom is no longer with us, but I feel like she's always here. And, I was in Colorado, and I was 20 years old, and I had my own home in Douglas County and Highlands Ranch, and I was eating pizza all the time and Sonic, and I was big, like really, really big. And I had a girlfriend that I don't think she knows my middle name to this day, but we were living together. Don't do that. And anyway, so it was kind of a messy situation.
So many layers there.
Yeah, well, I don't think that she was the type of girl, but I even argued with this about my mom. But the funniest part is I'm about 160 pounds now. At that time, I was 250 pounds. And my mom flew out from Orange County, California to Denver and sat down with my pizza after work. And she looked at me after telling me that she's going to have a nice dinner with me and my girlfriend. So I drive home from this finance assignment. I get home at like 8 o'clock. I'm looking forward to my pizza because I'm 250 pounds. And I get there and my mom is sitting there with my pizza. And my girlfriend, she says, Nick, you're overweight. And, I've had 4 kids, 2 of them at 41, 45 years old. I don't want to hear your excuses. She said, I want you around for as long as possible. And she said, that your body is a temple to God. And I don't stop thinking about that when I'm boxing. And, that's my wholehearted reason for staying in shape is because I love God and I don't want to mess with his vessel. I got a lot of tattoos, but I think that most of them are pretty cool. And I'm sure he's not going to agree with me, but anyway, he forgives. And the point being is, if you want to change, you got to make that the first priority and make your excuses second. And you just got to go because I get it. I know what it is to be depressed. I know what it is to be overweight. I know what it is to have a diabetes diagnosis nearly kill you twice. And look, get off your butt and go do it. Just do it. Like the Nike thing. Just go.
Just do it. And I'm glad that you think most of your tattoos are cool. TM.
Batman.
Love Guru, great movie. And no, I'm glad that you think most of your tattoos are cool because Pete Davidson didn't. And I think while I don't know how many you have, but arguably I'd say I might have more than you. They're a little bit of a pain going on, but I hear they're real pain coming off. So I'm glad you think they're pretty cool. And yeah, just do it. And put on a t-shirt. Marketing opportunity. So all great stuff. So time for the story segment. Again, we're developing it out. We'll kind of follow the same, setup. So story segment. So imagine 2 builders, if you will. And Mark and I both referenced construction this week, and neither of us know anything about it. So imagine 2 builders. One dreams about building the perfect home. The other picks up a hammer every morning and just does it. One talks, one builds. 5 years later, only one has a house. Purpose without production stays a dream. So do it. Activity. And Mark, the quote that I had you start us off with that you sent to me, I think yesterday in the picture, revenue is based on activity. It's not about revenue. It's about the activity. Nothing is going to happen without activity. Nick, I think you started off at the beginning saying something about you're not going to have the reward without the risk. Nothing is going to happen if you do nothing. If you sit on your couch and watch TV, you're going to have sat on your couch and watched TV. You will not have found the girl. You will not have seen the kids play. You will not have started the business. You will have sat and watched TV. You did nothing, so you're going to have nothing come from it. You have to have activity. And again, whether it be revenue, whether it be family time, whether it be a reestablishment of a relationship with your eldest child that you hadn't had in a few years, as I've referenced in the past. I reconnected with my eldest daughter after a few years of virtually no communication on her birthday this year in March. Nothing happens without activity. And you know what? The girl might say no. You might reach out to the kid that you hadn't talked to and she says no. You might. But without the activity, without the risk, there's zero reward. And one of my favorite things is a calculated risk. What's the pro and con? What's the Benjamin Franklin list? I've never heard of Benjamin Franklin list, but that's your pro and con list. What's the positive? What's the negative? Does it outweigh it? If the reward doesn't outweigh the risk, might not make sense. It might, but it might not. That's up to you. But do that Benjamin Franklin list. Do that pro and con. But purpose without production stays a dream. So many men blame opportunity. Some blame the economy. I would argue it's more than some. Some blame their boss. Some blame timing. But often, Mark, I love your smile there. But often the biggest limitation isn't around us. It's within us. It's right here. This controls so much. Discipline creates opportunities that excuses never will. So discipline creates opportunities that excuses never will. Gentlemen, it's pretty well built out, but do either of you have any thoughts or want to add anything around either one of those, either the story of the builders or the thought of discipline creating opportunity?
Well, I would add to the, the builder actually built the home. He took action on his dream. And I think you got to realize that if you have a thought in your mind, if you have a dream, you want 1,000 acres in Colorado, you want to live on the beach in Miami, whatever it is, that dream was planted in you by God because it's something He has for you down the road. And He's waiting on you to take a little bit of activity, actions, and follow the path to get there. What's the old saying about the most talent that never, or the most $1 billion ideas that never got put into place are all located in the graveyard because people took that talent and those dreams with them without acting on them. So act on it, do something about it. Worst case scenario, you become a better person because of it, and you're going to be happier when you look in the mirror.
Amen to that. Nick, again, they're built out. Did you want to add anything?
Not much. That was fantastic. Those sermons where
so that opening for Mark, I was like, I'm not following that. That's on you, buddy. That's a grand slam. I'm not going to come up and strike out.
No, what it made me think about was those sermons where you have people that stand up and say, I looked at everything financially and have no idea how we made it. When God has a plan for you, He's not going to bankrupt you. He will make a way. He is the way maker. And Mark, you did a fantastic job reminding us all of that. So praise God. Thank you.
Amen. So this week's audience challenge, and again, I'll put it in the description. We haven't heard anything on this. So again, if you're doing it, please let us know. Again, you can private message us as well. Our email is on the website. It's there. So email us if you don't want to go public with it. But again, we'd love to hear from you. So this week, complete a personal performance audit, excuse me. Complete a performance audit. Again, not professional. I'm not going to edit that out either. So ask yourself, what are my 3 highest value activities? So again, focus on purpose, intentional, executed. What are your 3 highest value activities? What am I wasting my time on? Where am I wasting my time? So it's that today list. It's what's productive, what's driving your mission forward every day. What habit would dramatically improve my productivity? So what one thing can you implement or create, whether it be 21 days or 6 weeks or whatever it creates? What habit can you implement to dramatically improve your activity or productivity, excuse me? What can I eliminate immediately? So what's that biggest time suck or time waste, the thing that's occupying your time that has no drive of your mission? And am I building the future or simply maintaining the present? Are you taking those risks? Are you taking those steps forward? Have you made your bullet points? Do you have your green pen out? Are you checking it off? If not, why? And again, the question is easy. The answer might be tough, but be true to yourself. There's no embarrassment. You don't have to put it out there. Ask yourself. Stand in the mirror, stand over a cup of coffee, but ask yourself and answer yourself honestly. Why? Why not? Choose one habit that moves your purpose forward every single day and move forward this week. Quote of the week. Purpose gives you direction. Production turns purpose into impact. Again, I'd like to read those a couple times. Purpose gives you direction. Production turns purpose into impact. So it's being intentional. It's taking that one step forward. It's taking that risk. It's making something happen. So gentlemen, as I do before I hit the closing message, any final thoughts, anything to tie us together, anything to bring us home? I think it's been a great built out. So let's head into the final segment. Again, we try to keep it right at an hour and we're right there. So closing message. Remember, God didn't call you to simply have potential. He called you to multiply what He's placed in your hands. Build, create, lead, produce. Because purpose without production never changes the world. We'll see you next week on Forge Men. Thanks.